Today, we are going to understand the lesson Working of the Constitution in Political Science. What do you mean by Constitution? It's principles by which a state is governed. For example, the school. The school is governed by the management, and they form some protocols, some rules and regulations to run the school very smoothly. Same goes with the state, where some principles are framed, which has to be followed by the citizens. That is known as Constitution. The Constitution focuses on three areas. Number one, democracy. Next, social justice and judicial system. We'll understand one by one. First and foremost, what do we mean by democracy? Democracy means by the people, of the people, and for the people. This is known as democracy, and you have been learning this from the lower classes. So, in democracy, we have the first point, that is political maturity. What do we mean by this? This means that there has to be free and fair elections. What do we mean by free and fair elections? That means no corruption, no bogus voting. Many a times it happens that one name appears in 2 to 3 wards and that one person gives 3 votes. This is entirely what we call as bogus voting. So there should be no corruption or no bogus, but there should be free and fair elections. Fair means very good, very clear and transparent. Next is the right to vote. Now we all citizens have the right to vote a party which we are in favor of. Previously, it was that once when you attain the age of 21 years, one could do the voting. But now, like then it came to 18. 18 means it's a younger generation. Younger generation means the large number of voters, whereas the participation of the young voters is more. Not only quantitative but also qualitative. Quantity means what? A large number. And quality means the good. So here it maintains the good as well as the quantity. So the participation of the young voters is more. Third one, decentralization of democracy. What do we mean by this? That when it is controlling the misuse of power. A government has the power. Now this should not be misused. And that has to be monitored by the higher authorities. It creates opportunities, that is participation for common people. It's not one-man show. That itself is known as democracy, where all the people can participate. That it is very useful for the common people. That is to monitor what is going in and around by the government. Next is right to information. What do we mean by right to information? That means we, the citizens, we the people, have the right to be informed what is going in and around us. What is the scenario at present? For example, this corona period, this pandemic situation, we are entitled to know each and every minute detail. Why, how, when, where, all these types of questions have to be very, very clear to us. We must know the entire data. What is going on? What is the process? What kind of medicines are given? What kind of treatment is given? What charges are being taken by the hospital authorities, by the hospital people? How they are treated? What precautions should be taken? All these things, that means we have the right to get information. Same goes with the voting. That means it is necessary to create an opportunity for citizens where the citizens can participate and they have the right to know about the government or about the party, about the power whom they have elected. What is that person doing? What is that party doing? Are they doing the work properly or not? Whatever work they are doing, it should be transparent. That means no secrecy should be there. This is like a trust between the party and the people, which the people have the trust on the person or on the party whom they have selected. Next is social justice. What do we mean by social justice? Justice means it's nyaya. Social, how we are social among others. Now, what do we mean by social justice? Equality. Equality for all individuals. That means when we talk about gender equality, for the casteism, for the higher class and the bigger class, there should be no discrimination between the caste, between the superiors, between the rich, between the high class and the poor class, superior and inferior. That means equality for all individuals without portraying any kind of discrimination. That means the development of every individual is a must. Every individual has the right to develop. There should be an overall development, be it educational, employment-wise, moral development, social development. In overall development should be there in each individual. That means it brings all the sectors of the society together. That itself is known as equality. Next is reservation of seats. Reservation of seats. There are some classes, some people, they are deprived of education and employment for a longer period of time. Many low class people, minorities, they are deprived. That means till them the education or the employment is not reaching. Same like some seats are reserved for scheduled castes and tribes, other backward classes. Now why these some seats are reserved for such people? So that there is overall development in them, and education and employment reaches to them. In the beginning, they were deprived of these rights. So no justice or any kind of injustice should be meted out to them. Or if any injustice is being done to them, then they are liable for punishment. Who are liable? The one who is avoiding them, depriving them of their rights. It can be an individual, it can be a society, or it can be a party, and so on. So whosoever is doing any kind of wrong thing to the scheduled caste or the tribals or the backward class, then they are liable to be punished. Next is protection. That means, like in other words, we can say provision for minorities. It's somewhat the same what we discussed before. Provision for minorities. Many a times it happens. Minority means what? Very less number of people belonging to that particular caste or religion. Many a times it happens that they are deprived of their rights, the basic rights, the equality, the freedom. They are exploited. They are exploited. Too much of exploitation is done of these people, that is of these minorities. So we need to, the government need to protect the rights of the minorities. So these are all the principles which are laid down in the Constitution. Next is laws relating to women and provisions for representation. That means we talk about women empowerment. In the ancient era, there was a time when women were deprived of education. There was illiteracy. They were not allowed to go outside, not allowed to mingle with anyone. They had to be aloof. Lot of harassment like dowry, then domestic violence, sexual abuse, so many things were meted out to them. They were looked down upon as very, very inferior. So we need to protect the rights of the women. How? How can we? First and foremost, the schools were started for the girls. The girls started going to school. Once they start going to school, they become independent. Then they go to the college level. They go for jobs. Like they are not dependent on anyone. They have enough of knowledge. Nowadays we can see the girls into different fields, be it whichever field. There is not a single field where you won't find a girl or a woman. That means how we have progressed. These are like we call as women empowerment. Even in politics, previously it was only 33% seats reserved for women. But then it has been raised to 50% in several states, including Maharashtra. Protection or provision means like to protect the dignity and self-esteem of a woman. What is self-esteem? Self-respect. You just cannot treat a woman like she's very inferior. She's nothing. She's useless. She's only meant to do work. No, and never. But so now we can see from where to where the woman has the woman has reached the pinnacle. No one can beat her and no one can compete her. This all has been, principles have been included in the constitution, and the constitution or the government, we say that they have to follow whatever principles are mentioned in the constitution. As in school, there are rules which you have to follow, and you do follow it. When you go into the class, when you come out of the class, when you go to the washroom, when you are standing for the assembly, when you are standing for any program. See, everywhere, when you go to the lab, everywhere there are some rules to be followed which has been made by the school. That means the same way the principles or the rules to be followed by the people, which is mentioned in the constitution. So these are all the things where we work for women empowerment, provision of minorities, social equality, gender equality, equality for all individuals, democracy, free and fair elections. It brings all the sections of societies together, and the reservation of seats where the people are deprived of education and employment. Provisions are made for the backward and the scheduled castes. So all these things contained in the lesson constitution. Now let's talk to the third point, that is judicial system. Judicial means what? We call it as justice. Role of judiciary. It plays a very important role. Basic framework of the constitution, a living document. It's dynamic, has to change according to condition. Parliament has the power to make those changes. Now that constitution, it is a framework. Framework means a sort, like we can say a chart or anything, a structure made of the constitution. It is a living document. Why it has been called as a living document? As and when necessary, it can be changed according to the condition. But the Parliament has the power to make those changes, but cannot alter, cannot change the basic structure. Now let me explain to you over here by giving an example of a family where there is a tradition or the ritual. The grandfather has made up a point in that particular house that all should sit together for dinner at 8 o'clock. See children, at 8 o'clock for dinner, all should come down. How many members are there? Maybe 7 members, 8 members, 10 members, a joint family. They all are supposed to come at the dining hall at 8 o'clock because that is the tradition followed from years to years, from generation to generation. This is what the rule the head of the family, the great-grandfather has made, or we can say the grandfather has made. Now this is the basic structure, but this basic structure can be altered or can be changed. Means how? Rule is rule. The rule will not change. But what can be changed? Maybe the timing. Maybe the timing. Because there may be 2 or 3 people who are unable to make it up at 8 o'clock. Office timing hai, bad gaya hai, business hai, whatever it could. It can be anything. So those people, they may be reaching home by 9 o'clock. So definitely they cannot come at 8 o'clock. Few years in the beginning it was possible. But as and how the time changed, everything has changed. So now what will be the rule over there? The rule is that everybody will sit together, but only the timing has changed. The timing must have been changed from 8 to 9. The basic structure is the same. All family members sitting together for dinner. But what has changed? The timing has changed. Same goes with the constitution. It can change according to the condition, but not the basic structure. That cannot be altered, because constitution is like a very significant means very important decisions. It is like right of children, protection of human rights, honor, dignity of women, tribal empowerment. ये सारी चीजें, all these things are into this judicial system. That is, all of these aspects should be treated with justice. So this is the lesson, the working of the constitution, how it works.